everybody, it's Kathy Ondas with Simply Cards by Kathy, and jumping on here just a minute early to make sure that you can see and hear me okay. And thank you for joining me for our sneak peek week. And this is day 2 of our sneak peeks of the new July to December 2022 mini catalog. So if you're joining me live, please leave me a comment. Let me know that you can hear and see me okay. And let me know where you're watching from. I would love to know where you're from. Today we're going to do a fun fold, which is very appropriate for our Friday Fun at 1. I love fun folds, and this one we're going to be using the gathered wheat stamp set, and I'm going to show you the dies that coordinate with it. So if you are one of my customers, I'm hoping you received your catalog and celebration brochure already. And if you are new to Stampin' Up!, don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, or would like a catalog, please click on that little box up below. Go over to my website and hit contact me. Send me your name and your address, and I'll be happy to put catalogs in the mail for you. And I would love to have the opportunity to earn your business. So we're going to get started. And because you know the catalog isn't live, I'm not able to open it up and show you anything in it yet. So I'm going to move this off to the side. And I'm going to bring in the card we're going to make. Now this one I use the new In Color Starry Sky. And you can see the fun fold. We have a window and it's embossed on the outside, and then it opens up where you have your card. So today, while you're seeing this one, we are going to use Evening Evergreen. I just thought since the wheat color is a little bit on the lighter side, it would look a lot richer with a dark color paper. So we're going to try Evening Evergreen. I'm going to move this off to the side, and I'm going to bring in the stamp set to show you. So I love this stamp set. I love fall, and I just think it's a very detailed stamp set, as you can see. Lots of detail and lines, and then this is colored with Stampin' Blends with 3 different colors actually, and we'll do that today. So it is a cling stamp set, which allows you the detail, and we'll be using one of the greetings also. Now I want to bring in the dies for you. These are called the wheat dies. And you have this beautiful edge here, detailed edge, and then cuts out the stamps. And you even have the option with some little stems and some the top of the wheat right here for you. We are going to be using this die today for the inside, and I've already cut it out of So Saffron. And you even have a banner for one of the sentiments. So I'm going to set this off to the side because I believe I've already used that for that little piece of wheat for this card. And then the other dies we're going to use are the stylish shapes. I use these a ton. We are going to cut our window using the largest circle. Now, if you choose, you could do the largest square. And then for our sentiment, we're going to use this thick, wide banner. So we're going to move this off, and we should have everything we need. So let me move these off to the side here and bring in our supplies. Now this card doesn't really take a lot. We are using a standard card base. And please don't worry about the measurements. Everything's going to be right down below in the video. Give me about an hour to get that all set up, and you'll be able to get all of the supplies, the measurements, and directions over on my website. So this is actually an 8.5 by 5.5, and it is scored at 4 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and again, my fold line, fold into the hill and match up my edges. And then I'm going to burnish this with my bone folder. Now, the fact that you have one card inside of another gives it a little bit of thickness. So I want to make sure that it lays flat and burnish that edge really well. I'm going to set that off to the side here. And then the second piece is 8 inches by 5. It's a 1/2 inch smaller than this one both ways, and it is scored at 4. So let's go ahead and we are going to burnish this one. Okay. Now, for the we're going to cut, and you could fold or not fold it. But you want to maybe get a circle on the right side. So hands while fold it. So I'm going to go and I am going to place my fold right about here. And, we're going to tape it down. I use the Post-it tape because I get it hold really well, but it so does not stick and tear my paper. So the front of the card, we're going to do 2 things. One is it's going to be embossed because you can see on the sample, it's embossed with the gingham embossing folder. And then we're going to cut it. I'm going to cut first because I don't want to emboss and then run it through the cut and emboss machine a second time because I don't want it to flatten my embossed image. So I'm going to go ahead now. My embossing, cut and emboss machine is right next to me. So I'm just going to slip over next door here and run this through. So that we have our window. Okay, perfect. So let's bring this back over and just gently going to remove this tape here. And this tape, what I like about it is you can reuse it several times. Now I save this and I'll use it for another card because it has the stitched edge around it. So you'll get 2 cards out of that. Now I want to emboss this with the gingham embossing folder. So let me pull that in here. And show you how we're going to put it in here. For one, when you go through your cut and emboss machine, if you're new to stamping and emboss, you always this go through first. If you put it in this way, you have a good chance when that clicks, it's going to snap this. And I've actually done that. So the correct way is to feed the fold in first. So what I'm going to do is line my card up right here. And hopefully you can see this. I'm lining it up right with that black line. That's the edge of my card. And I take it all the way over to the fold. And now I'm going to run this through. It's going to run through sideways. So that's going to be okay versus running it backwards. Okay, and we're back. And here's our embossed. And we'll scratch there. So that's the outside of our card. Now the inside of our card is going to go right in here, and it's going to place right along the edges so that you do have a nice border around it. So what I do is I fold this over, and I take a real light pencil, and I just add a few marks on it at the top and the sides so that I know where to place my stamp. And then I'm ready to stamp this. Now what I'm going to do is use my Stamparatus because it's such a large image. So let me bring that in here. Now it's a cling stamp. So with that being said, I don't need the padding on the bottom. And I'm going to place my card in here, and I am going to line it up. And these magnets are tough. So we're going to go ahead and line this up right about here. And I'm going to set that here. And I had broken one of my magnets because they hit together. And I had to order some more. So here's this, and you can see my marks. So I want to get this up towards the top here. And not all of it is going to show through the window, but most of it is. So place it. And I'm going to go ahead and close this on here. Now we're going to use soft suede because I did do some experiments with this earlier, and I tried early espresso was way too dark. So let's go ahead, and I'm actually going to pop a ribbon under here because I don't have another stamp. And we're going to ink this up. And I turn my ink pad over, and I kind of keep an eye on it because I want to make sure that I get full coverage. And that looks really good. So then we're just going to go over, and I'm just going to give it a good push. Now, the nice thing about the Stamparatus is if you don't get a good image, it's in place and you can go right back over it. That looks really good. So let's take this out here and move this off to the side. And I'm going to bring in my pencil and just take these little marks off, which it does really well. All right, so I'm going to let this dry for just a minute, and we're going to go ahead and stamp our greeting. So with the greeting, I'm going to stamp it in Evening Evergreen. And we're going to use the greeting. It's right from that gathered wheat. Simply thankful for all. I'm going to flip it over because I have an edge on that, and I'm going to clean it off. There we go. And then this is going to get cut out with the die from the Stylish Shapes. I love that die set. And it just fits. And it looks, I just think it gives it a nice look. So again, I'm going to use my tape to tape down. And I'm going to run this through, and then we're going to start coloring. So here is our green. Okay, we're gonna now. I'm gonna leave this open because we're gonna use Stampin' Blends. And the colors I brought in are my light and dark, so saffron. I brought in my light and dark pumpkin. And then I also brought in my crumb cake light and dark. So we're going to use those. Now, I'm opening the color because one color with the Stampin' Blends is going to go through the back piece of Evening Green, and I've embossed it with the gingham. And we're actually going to be putting that right over here on the back side when we're done. So that's not going to be seen. Now, for this paper cardstock, I used the basic white. I didn't use the heavy because there's 4 layers, 5 layers actually, and I didn't want to add any more bulk to the card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with some of the pumpkin. And I'm just going to add a little bit of color in different areas along the wheat stems. And we may go back and add a few more. I love the opportunity to do that. If you watched my video last night, we did some watercoloring using our stamp pads and the water blender. Okay, this is our light pumpkin pie, and I'm just going to go ahead and take this in and add a little bit to add some color to the wheat. Okay, we can always go back over, and then I'm going to take my dark saffron and I'm going to just because I'm in my light saffron. The rest of it very like my stamp. If you me before we say beautiful blending, but if you have 3-handed, you may notice some pilling, and so you'll notice that I'm pretty light-handed with it. So I now have my light so saffron, and I'm going to use the white end. If you're new to Stampin' Up, all of the Stampin' Blend 2 ends, smaller and a little firmer, and one is with stamp blends. I go in one direction. I don't get forth. I'm actually picking that up a little bit as I go. If I do that, I find that I don't have any pilling, especially since I'm using this on the lighter cardstock or just the plain basic white. And again, I'm just going to go up. And you can see I'm taking some pretty, because this is a large image, I'm taking some pretty long strokes until I get toward the end here, towards the ends of the wheat stalks. Then I kind of slow down a little bit. Now, if I were doing this for myself and I wasn't on video and having everybody watch me, I probably would take a little bit more time. But I don't want anybody to get bored watching me color, and basically just want to show you the steps that you can do to do this. I hope you're enjoying the sneak we did yesterday. I'm really excited do the add with the at the end. Please give me a thumbs up on my channel. And that subscribe and I hope you to join me. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to pick that up and you can see some of the color. Now, if you wanted to add a little bit more, you certainly could. Here's my light pumpkin. We can go back in and just add a little bit of more color if you wanted to, but I think that looks good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my light crumb cake because we're going to put a bow on this. So I'm just going to go over this rope lightly. And I'm not quite sure what it is we're going to use yet. I have two options that I brought in. So here's our wheat. Now you can see it did come through the back. So in order to cover that up, we're going to take this, and I believe, don't count in on the measurements, but I believe this is 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. It will be in my post. So let's add some glue. I am big on using the glue, particularly when I emboss, simply because let's grab this one. Because with the embossing, you have a lot of little grooves, and it doesn't always, it's going to be difficult today, isn't it? All right. Open this up a little bit with a pin, and we should be able to adhere it. There we go. As saying, I do use the glue because of the grooves, and I think they get in there better than my tear and tape at times, and it lays flatter, at least for me. So I'm just going to go in, and I want to get a good edge all the way around. And also, the glue lets you slide. So there's our card. There's the back. And now we're going to adhere this to the inside of our evening evergreen. And to do that, I'm going to close it. And I want to make sure that I have a good paper. You can see it. And because there's an even edge all the way around, we should be good. And I'm going to slide this over a little bit more. Let's see where we're at. Perfect. Now I'm just going to open like this, and then you open the inside. Now for the greeting, I'm going to leave the inside blank. I do that a lot because I like to personalize it before I send it out, depending on what I'm using it for and who I'm sending it to. But I am going to add this little die cut here that right in the lower right corner. And it isn't so saffron because that's going to pick up the color of the wheat. So let's just put that there. And you just need to dab a little bit of glue on it. Now I want to add a bow. And I brought in my baker's twine. And when I hold it up, I thought the white got lost with the white. And black was too bold. And this I wasn't sure we were going to see as much. So my other option is to use try that. And I'm going to show you how I make those. Fold a loop here and I fold a loop here. Now this is what I have found easiest for me. You may know of an easy way to make them. And my hands are full of glue. Let me grab some sanitizer. I keep sanitizer on my desk because as I get ink or glue on my hands, it's great for cleaning it off. And that way you don't get in your card. Let's try this again. So just a small loop here, a loop here, and then I fold it in to the hole here into the center and grab it and bring it through. So there's my bow, and then I just work with it. Okay, I'm going to pull this a little bit smaller and this up. And you can see I just keep working with it until I get it tight where I want it and the size I want it. And I go back and forth because that allows me to tighten it up without adding, without pulling it out and without the ends being too big. So this one, and now I'm going to pull tight. And then I just go back in and adjust the size of my little bow. Okay. So I think that's good. And I'm going to trim it down. And let's do that now. Just going to trim the little tails off. And now I'm just going to work it again since it's cut down to get it to the size that I want and just a little bit tighter. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in my mini glue dots. And we're simply going to pick one up on the back of our bow. And we're going to adhere it right over where the bow would be on the wheat. Okay. Now we're going to bring in our greeting that we stamped. And we're going to put that on with Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to use the big ones. So I'm going to put one on each end. This we have first. The right side. And right here. And I'm going to place this right under here. Right under our little window and just center it. Then I want to add some a little special. Use the shade because I thought they were really close to the color of the wheat and just want to give it just a little pop of bling. So we're going to go in with, I'm going to go in with one large one. And let's just put it right here because this is a little bit bigger bow. So here's our card, Fun Fold. And let's move this all off to the side and bring in the other one. So one in Starry Sky, one in Evening Evergreen. I would love to hear which one is your favorite. Leave me a comment below. I hope you enjoyed today's Fun Fold, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'm not usually on the weekends, but I will be on this Saturday and Sunday to continue with our sneak peek. And I feel a great day. forward to seeing you again really